print all subarrays with some 0. Well, in our last video, we saw how to check whether a sublist with some 0 exists in our list or not, where I have actually discussed about printing all subarrays with some 0 using for loop. So वो वीडियो आप जाके देख सकते हो अगर आपको for loop के थ्रू यहाँ पर सब लिस्ट को प्रिंट करवाना है. But when we actually study data structures and algorithm, we are bothered about time complexity, and that's why we study these topics. And so we have to find a different approach in order to solve this particular problem, because we getting a time complexity as n square when we actually use to for loop. Okay. So what we will do here is that we'll actually try to use a hash table in order to find the solution. So let's see how to use hash table. We have already solved two problems with the same with the same approach. So it will be not that difficult for you to solve this particular problem. We just have to make a function. Let me just call this function as print all sublist, and now I'm going to pass a list inside this function. As you know, we have this list over here with several elements, so we have to print all the sublist. Okay, so सबसे पहले यहाँ पर मैं क्या करता हूँ, मैं एक empty dictionary create कर लेता हूँ. Don't ask me why I'm doing this, just do this. You will simply understand why I was doing this later in this video. Okay, so I have created a dictionary over here, and then I'm going to pass something inside this dictionary. So you all know what's dictionary. Dictionary is having some key and some value, and you can just pass the key to access this values over here. Okay, so dictionary is a key value pair. So what you will do is you will create a function over here which is insert. Now don't get worried about this function, it's not that horrible as you think. Let me just write this function first, key comma value. So this function is basically going to assign the values for the keys that you are going to pass. Okay, so this function will be used to assign the values in the dictionary and the keys as well. Okay, so over here what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write this function set default is a function in order to set the default values for the key and value. Okay, so I have this key over here. I'm going to pass this by a list. So यहाँ पर basically हो क्या रहा है, you are actually setting a default list which is an empty list with this key, and I'm going to append something to this list which is going to be a value that you are going to pass. Okay, so what is going to happen over here is that when you try to execute this insert, let's say यहाँ पर मैं insert को execute भी करता हूँ, I'm going to write insert and then I'm going to pass this d comma 0 comma minus 1. So when you actually pass something in this dictionary, what will happen is your key will become the 0 and your actual value will come over here, so minus 1. So minus 1 will be appended to this empty list, so I will be getting a list as minus 1. So this will become the value of key, so I will be getting the value of key as list with a one element as minus 1. So I can't say that this list is having a key with 0 and value as minus 1. I will say that this list is having a key as 0 and value as a list containing one element as minus 1. Okay, so value will be a list. If you still can't understand this, let's take an example over here. Okay, you can see over here we have the same function, and when I try to just perform this thing, insert d comma 0 comma minus 1, you can see I'm getting the key as 0, but the value is in list and the value is minus 1. Okay, so you can understand what's going in this code, what's going in this function. It's very easy. It looks difficult, but it is not difficult. Okay, so we got the table, and that's what we do in the hashing. We make a table, hash table. So we got a table with key as 0 and we got a value as minus 1. Okay, so we will create this table. Let's see what else we can do. So यहाँ पर अब ये दो चीज करने के बाद what I will do is I will just say total equals to 0. Total को मैंने 0 लिखा. Total will be used in this code. Okay, so total is initially 0. Total with the summation of this elements. Okay, so don't get confused with this for now. For I in range and then length of list, let's say. Okay, so मैंने यहाँ पर length of list के अंदर यहाँ पर I को चला दिया. Initially I will be 0 till the length of list minus 1, because range will be minus 1 of this whole thing. So if the length is 8, range will go till 7. Okay, so 0 to 7 will be 8 only. Eventually will become 8. Okay, so yes, छोड़ो ये सब बातें. अब यहाँ पर क्या करेंगे हम total को लिखेंगे. Total, we'll write total as total equal to total प्लस लिस्ट ऑफ आई. ओके, सो मैंने यहाँ पे टोटल जो है मेरा इनिशियली टोटल 0 है, उसके अंदर मैंने लिस्ट ऑफ आई जो कि मेरा इस केस में पहले 0 पे होगा, लिस्ट ऑफ 0 3. सो टोटल इज टोटल प्लस a list of I. So this will become 3. Okay, so for the very first iteration this will become 3, and now I will check guys whether this total is present in my D or not. So in D, सो गाइस यहाँ पर डी का मतलब ये है डिक्शनरी, एंड इन दिस डिक्शनरी व्हाट टोटल एक्चुअली इज गोइंग टू रिप्रेजेंट, टोटल इज गोइंग टू चेक फॉर द कीज whether total, let's say total is 3, so whether 3 is present in my D or not. So you can see initially I have only 0 as my key, so 3 is not present in this key, so I can say that this is not going to work. But for the rest of cases, let's say if it is total 0, so this time I have the value, I have the key as 0, so I can say yes, this is present. So in this if statement, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list, and मैं list का नाम देता हूँ ls. You can put any other name if you want to, and I'm going to just say that d.get total. सो बेसिकली ये क्या करेगा गाइज, यहाँ पर ये आपको ये लिस्ट है ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है, ये बेसिकली एक फंक्शन की वैल्यू स्टोर करेगा, एंड वो जो भी वैल्यू होगी उस टाइप का डेटा उस टाइप का जो भी डेटा स्ट्रक्चर है वो खुद में ले लेगा, ठीक है। तो ये टाइप मतलब यहाँ पर वो वेरिएबल टाइप खुद के अंदर ले लेगा, न्यूमेरिक होगा, अल्फा न्यूमेरिक होगा, लिस्ट होगा, डिक्शनरी होगा, जो भी होगा इस पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन का आउटपुट वो। तो यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं डी डॉट गेट टोटल लिखा है, तो बेसिकली करता क्या गाइस, यहाँ पर ये की वैल्यू लेता है इधर और आपको वैल्यू दे देता है, मतलब ये की यहाँ पर लेगा और आपको उसके करस्पॉन्डिंग वैल्यू दे देगा उस पर्टिकुलर डिक्शनरी के अंदर डी डॉट गेट। तो यहाँ पर की मेरा टोटल है, लेट्स से यहाँ पर ये टोटल की वैल्यू 0 है, तो डी डॉट गेट 0 यहाँ पर होगा क्या, जैसे ही वो यहाँ पर आएगा डी डॉट गेट 0 0 पे वो देखेगा -1 है, तो वो -1 एक्चुअली यहाँ पर लिस्ट है, और हर केस में हमारे पास आएगी तो लिस्ट ही, क्योंकि हमने यहाँ पर जैसे ही हम इंसर्ट करते हैं हम उसे लिस्ट के अंदर अपेंड कर देते हैं, तो इवेंचुअली वी विल गेटिंग अ लिस्ट ओनली, विल बी गेटिंग अ लिस्ट ओनली। सो आई हैव ls as a list which will be getting as when it is 0 whose answer will be -1, ठीक है। but there will be some case where I will be getting -1 comma let's say 4 comma something like that. so हमारे पास मल्टीपल एलिमेंट्स भी रह सकते हैं लिस्ट के अंदर। so for that I'm going to use a for loop for j in ls, एंड मैंने ls के अंदर j को ट्रेवर्स करा दिया। इसके बाद मैं यहाँ पे क्या करता हूँ, मैं यहाँ पे प्रिंट करवाता हूँ एक सिंपल सा स्टेटमेंट, list of j plus 1 I plus 1। आफ्टर डूइंग दिस सिंपल स्टेटमेंट मैं यहाँ पे बाहर आ जाता हूँ, एंड मैं फिर से बाहर आ जाता हूँ, एंड दिस टाइम आई एम गोइंग टू जस्ट इंसर्ट द टोटल एंड I। So I know you will be not able to understand this program that much for now, but हम इस चीज को हमारे पास प्रेजेंटेशन है उससे भी समझेंगे। For now let me just try to run this code and check whether this code is correct or not. So yep, I have to call this code, call this main function, and now if I try to run this code, let's hope for the best. Okay, there is some error. Let me try to find out without looking at the error. Okay, so when I look at this code, I can see who you are. You are my enemy. You are my enemy. So okay, I can't see any error right now, but I have to look carefully. Okay, print all sublist, print all sublist. Okay, let me just check only what's the error. Okay, so this is the error, set default. Okay, saying that this is not correct, this is not going to work. Okay, so I'm not able to understand what's the error, and let me just try to do something over here. Let me just try to make this thing working. Okay, so what's the error? See, default, that's the error. Let me run this again, and yep, we got the solution. That was the only error that I got. Okay, great. So you can see over here I'm getting all the list whose sum is equals to 0. Let's check for some list. You can see sum 0, you can see sum 0, you can see sum 0, you can see, don't look for this. Okay, so believe me, sum is 0. Okay, so now let's actually try to trace this program with this list over here. So let me open this thing over here, and let me just zoom this out a bit. So you can see in our second step, what we actually do is we make this dictionary as empty dictionary, and then we insert something in this dictionary. So मैं insert क्या कर रहा हूँ, मैं 0 insert कर रहा हूँ and then -1 कर रहा हूँ. So 0 मेरी key होगी and -1 मेरी value होगी. But in this case यहाँ पर आप इस चीज को insert function के अंदर डालोगे, and insert function will not allow this value to be -1. It will append this value to a list, and then with one element you can say I have a key as 0 and I have a list with one element as -1. So eventually I will be getting something like key is 0 and value will be a list which is -1. Okay, so after that you will be getting this whole thing over here, total equal to total plus list of I. So total mera initially 0 rahega. You can see over here also total is 0. So what I will do is I will simply say that total is 0. So I will add the total with the list of I, 0 plus, and list of I is initially I is 0. So I will be getting list of 0, that is 3. So 0 plus 3, I will be getting the list total as 3. Okay, so for the very first case I will be getting the total as 3, and for that total is not present in D, as I have checked for here. If total in D, then you have to perform this operation, but total is not in D, so I'm not going to perform this operation. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down. Okay, so yep, so this time you can see I have this insert D total I. So after skipping all this thing, you have to put J over here instead of value, but it's fine for now. Okay, so just back to the third step I mean. So this time you have to just go with this function, and inside this function you know what is going to happen. So for this total as 3 and value is I, well, I as 0, so I'm going to get key value as 3 and the list for this particular value for this key as list of 0. Okay, so यहाँ पर मेरे पास ये third step के अंदर कुछ ऐसा आ रहा है, and again I'm going to increment. So for the fourth step, now the total will be 3 and I will be getting list of I as 4. Sum will be 7. 7 is also not present in D, so I will add 7 with the value of I as 1. In the fifth step, you can see मेरे पास -7 आ रहा है. This time I am getting total as 0 and total 0 is present in D. You can see 0 is present in D. Okay, so what I will do is I will say that ls equals to d dot get total. So d dot get total, what will be happen over here is I will be getting -1, not 2, because 2 is added over here. Okay, after this operation is performed, तब 2 जाके add हो रहा है. उससे पहले बस -1 ही है. You can see हमारे पास last case में key 0 के लिए value -1 थी. So you will getting this value. So d dot get 0. You can see total is 0. So d dot get 0. So I will be getting list as -1. Okay, so you just look at this thing carefully. I will pass this PPT in the description. You can just download the PPT from there and try to understand this thing. Okay, so then we'll use the for loop for j in ls, and this will actually print the sublist. So list of j will be j क्या होगा इस केस में? j यहाँ पर हमारा होगा -1. Okay, so j will be -1, तो -1 plus 1 will be 0. So initially हमारा first element होगा 0. List of 0 से लेकर यहाँ पर you can see we have this column. So it will be from 0 to I plus 1, I is 2, so 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So 3, 4, -7, 3. But you know that I plus 1 तक ये चीज नहीं चलेगी, ये -1 ही चलती है उससे. तो अगर यहाँ पर I plus 1 है, इसका मतलब ये I तक चलेगी. That means I will be getting 3, 4, -7 as my answer, and that's a sublist with sum equals to 0. So that's how you actually print for this. एंड आप बाकी सारी भी चीज यहाँ देख सकते हैं, मैंने सबके लिए लिखा है, हर एक ट्रेसिंग अच्छे से की है यहाँ पर. सो यू कैन इजीली वॉच दिस पीपीटी इन ऑर्डर टू फाइंड आउट हाउ दिस ट्रेसिंग इज एक्चुअली बीइंग डन एंड हाउ यू गेट योर सोल्यूशन ओवर हियर. Okay, so I will pass this PPT. Okay, so let me just save this. I will pass this PPT in the GitHub. You can just go and download from there. I'll pass the link in description. So yes, that's all about this video. That's how you actually just print all the subarrays with some 0 using hash table and get a linear time complexity. You can see over here I'm using only one for loop, so I will be getting a linear time complexity. Don't bother about this inner for loop. This is actually a very small for loop. You look at this for loop, you see it is only going to work for 2 or 3 times. So this is not going to be a big deal for us. Okay, and this is not actually the length of n. This will be always lesser and lesser than length of n. Okay, so yes, time complexity will be not linear, but somehow linear only, or I can say equivalent to linear. Okay, so that is how you solve this particular problem. Yes, that's all about this video. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.